Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anyone that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Allset, good to see you, buddy. DJ Mines, my man in the house, good to see you. Charles Harris, Dan R, good to see you, buddy. We have Black Hat, Team Dakota Miner, Team JFK, Steven Cicero, what's up, man? Good to see you. Vinny, good to see you, man. McDowell's or McDonald's? That's the most random question. What are you saying? Zarkov, good to see you. Tim I Am Crypto, Nismo Miner, Neil, good to see you, buddy. Financial Failure, Crypto Backer, everybody else I may have missed, I apologize, but we need to get into this. We got a lot of stuff to watch today. All right, let's do it. Look at this, a little bit of a red looking market today, but guys, Bitcoin is still over $70,000. Look at that, 70,265. We have Ethereum at 3586, looking pretty good actually. You know what, there's some good talks about Ethereum. I actually listened to the Crypto World CNBC television. We're gonna rewatch that, but towards the end there was like an interview with like one of the an Ethereum, I would call him an Ethereum maxi, and kind of some of the things he said was kind of on point, so we're gonna hear that in a little bit. We have LTC at $97.37. Let's see what else we got. Dogecoin at that 18.6. Look at that, 18 cents. Nice. Dogecoin's going to be pumping. That's great. We have Ethereum Classic at $31.78. Atom looks like it's up 0.8% at $12.35. You know what, I just realized that max voltage must be as soon as I say it, he comments in the chat, LTC woohoo. He's excited because he's winning right now. Right now he's winning against DJ and Caspa. LTC is up 6.92%. Where's Caspa? 13 cents, 13 and a half cents. I was like, honestly, I don't think I could have called that any more perfectly because he comments as soon as I say it. Oh, it's so funny. I didn't even know it was here. Max Voltage, how you doing, buddy? Good morning, sir. And I'm feeling a little bit better today. A little bit better. Not super good, but a bit better. All right, looking at crypto bubbles over here. What in the hell? 38.8% MNT. Mantle is up to $1.27. Look at that, up 38.8%. That's crazy. We have Fetch AI up 12.7% to $3.25. AGIX up 10.4% to $1.33. Look at this. Kucoin got whacked by the SEC yesterday for what was it, like money laundering funds or some bullshit. I'm not sure. We're gonna hear about that in a little bit. Actually, I didn't really get the grasp of the entire thing, but $12.14. This dropped 15.4%. LTC again up 6.8%, $97.11. Sui is up 14.7% to $2.07. Beam is up 6.5%, up to 3 cents. Nice. Caspa, damn, what's going on over here? Caspa down 8.1% to 13 cents, 13 and a half. Actually, I think it's just a good opportunity to buy, to be honest. Altcoin season, you guys get ready for it. This shit's gonna explode. At least we hope so. At least we hope so. I have absolute confidence, I would say, in Caspa. We have Conflux 8.4% down to 47 cents. Could be worse. Jasmy's down 5.6% now at 2 cents, 2.20 it says. Not too bad. Nothing else is really popping out at me. Actually, H bar down 5% is back to 11 cents, 11.6. I mean, realistically, that's where it was the other day. All right, flashbang, apologize. Extreme greed over here on the fear and greed index at 83. It actually climbed a little bit from yesterday, which is interesting. Everything is still staying, again, pretty high over here on the Coin 360 chart. Realistically, market looks great. Yeah, are we gonna see this needle hold for a couple more weeks until the halving? Buy the rumor, sell the news. You guys think it's gonna happen? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. All right, let's get into this. Top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, USDC, Dogecoin. Cardano is in 10th place. Look at that, Cardano. I think, again, I mentioned this yesterday and a couple streams before that. I think Cardano might be a decent buy right now. Dogecoin in 9th place is actually kind of impressive. Kind of shocked, to be honest. The meme coins are climbing as high as they have. 12th place for Shiba Inu. Shiba's been holding very well in like the I I don't even know, close to 10th. All right, it was in 11th and now it's in 12th. Actually, I think it went down to 13th the other day, but this thing has been playing cat and mouse with these coins right here, these last, like, I don't know, 10 through 15 more or less the past couple weeks. It's kind of impressive. At an $18 billion market cap, that's crazy. So I don't know, 12th place for Shiba. Let's see what else we got down here. Scrolling down, 23rd place for Litecoin. We have Filecoin in 27th. You know what, Max Voltage actually brought up Filecoin, and he said that was one of his, I don't know if it was one of his holdings he's going into now or if he already has it, but I think he said he was going to be investing in it. Let me see. Oh geez, the all-time high was 236 bucks. Holy shit. That was in the 2021 bull run. What see, the only problem I have with this is the fact that it doesn't have anything before that. If it had like a, you know, 2017 bull run spike and then a 2021 bull run spike, F yeah, I would be getting into it right now. But this shit's fighting for a heartbeat. So bruh, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Maybe that's a little bit more of a risk that I'm not willing to take. That's just my opinion. You guys do what you want on that. It is a deep in project though, if I'm not mistaken. We have Ethereum Classic in 30th place. Let's see. MK said, can you explain how you send Ethereum to Tangent because you can't mine it directly on the ETH network? To be honest, you have to swap it. You have to swap it within, like, I don't even think Simple Swap does Ethereum anymore. You'd have to exchange it for Ethereum on the Ethereum chain, unfortunately. Yeah, it kind of sucks. It does suck. It was a pain in the ass for me to swap it. Buy the rumor, buy the news. DCA every day says I need my COD. Yeah, you know what? I agree with that, actually. I agree with that. Where is Caspa? Where'd Caspa go? Oh man, Caspa's climbing up the ranks. It's in 48th right now. 48th place. Terrible. Dog Whiff Hat flipped it. Dog Whiff Hat flipped Caspa. What is this world coming to?
So is that a joint?
That's terrible. $3.1 billion market cap, and Dog Whiff Hat has a 3.17. Caspa 3.12. That's interesting. Man, that's what happens. They kick me when I'm down. Kick me when I'm down. Whiff is beating Caspi. Yeah, that's terrible. Oh man, Pepe's in 44th place. Pepe actually has been doing pretty decent too. All these meme coins really been killing it. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. I got a bunch of stuff I want to watch today, things we need to pay attention to. All right, Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro 21 terahash. You guys know I like to timestamp the most profitable units in the market at the current moment. We have $147.06 over here on the KS5 Pro 21 terahash. Oh, my computer just like froze for a second. KS5 20 terahash is $140.06 a day. We got the BMKS Max 11 terahash unit making $69.15. We have the Windminer K9 10.3 terahash making $67.92. And guys, look at even though Caspa is doing, like, I would say kind of ish right now, look at the miners. Like, these miners are still top of the charts for profitability. So that's got to say something for this coin, right? And to be honest, the fact that these miners have been on the top of the charts for months at this point, it's been like half a year. Like, I honestly don't see Caspa going anywhere, and the amount of forks that have been coming out on it reminds me of them Ethereum days. You guys know what I mean? The Ethereum forks were insane at that moment when Ethereum was popping off. Real quick, all right, let's see. Sorry, got distracted for a second. KS3 8 terahash unit making $51.22. KS3M 6 terahash unit making $36.02. Not too bad. Actually, that's pretty bad.
This hash rate's going bonkers.
That's what Max Voltage would say. All my cast machines paid themselves off. Just free chicken now. It's just free chicken. Oh, free chicken. Perfect. Oh my god. All right, we got this AlphaPax GG1 11 gigahash unit. This is the merge mining Dogecoin and Litecoin, making $20 a day over here. Not too bad. Not too bad. This is that new Dogecoin miner that Mr. Red Panda got, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be seeing a video on that at some point. Let's see, the Antminer K7 anybody's interested, I think DJ Mines is selling his, so reach out to him. $18.72 a day. I'm not sure which one he's got, but he's got one of these. And I mean, both of them are making pretty decent money. 1872 and 1710 for the 58 terahash unit. Not too bad. All right, the L7 9050 making $14.93. Again, this is at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, so I am making this down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. Links are in the description if you guys are interested, or even buying one of these units. I have a link to their website, which is like everything's all included, so feel free to go check them out. But man, I don't know, I really want another one of these units, but at the same time, like, I kind of want to just wait. I thought this unit up here, where is it, the whatever the hell it was called, DG1, I thought this unit was only Dogecoin. I didn't know it was Litecoin too, so that's interesting. But yeah, I don't know, I really want one of these units, but like, I kind of want to wait for the next best thing. I don't know, actually, what's the price of that thing? What's the price of it? Doesn't even say. 65.10. Yeah, I don't know, I guess we'd have to, this one's, I mean, these prices are actually shit, they really don't matter, but this one's 4,130, so according to this site, so it's about 2 grand less for 2 more gigahashes, roughly, right? Or 2 grand more for 2 more gigahashes. I don't know if that's worth it. Anyways, let's see, Collagen P2 mining Caspa 1337. I'm sorry, not Caspa, Carlson for $13.21 a day. We have the KS2 2 terahash unit making $11.85 a day over here, 108 Caspa per day. Jazzminer X16Q, I have this thing running in my house converting to Caspa, actually mining ETC, $8.92. I'm making probably $4 because my electric rate is way worse than that. I just got a $700 electric bill and I have 3 jazz miners running here. Like, how is that even possible? I lied. I got my KS zeros over here, but those aren't pulling shit. They're like 100 watts each. I don't know. Crazy how much my electric bill just was. The extra for KS1, we have let's see, $5.92 a day. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's getting pretty bad. Let's see the KS0. Let's go down here. Let's find that. Where are you? KS0 Pro making $1.23 a day. So mine's probably close to $1 a day. It's all right though. I'll still take it. 100 watts isn't that bad. Or not even. It's like 90 watts. Where is the last thing I want to check out? Is the S19K Pro. Still more profitable mining Digibyte. Man, I feel like I got to swap my unit over to Digibyte, but I don't know if I want to. $7.24 a day. Crazy. What do you guys think? Yeah, $700 is chump change, bro. Oh, it is and it isn't. All right, I'm trying to do the basement, so I'm like spending all my money on my basement, and yeah, nope. Anyways, let's move on to GPUs. Let's see. Most profitable coin for GPU mining, 4090 looks to be Gram and what is this? Is this Husat? Is that what it's called? Is it Husat, HTN, and Pyron? Interesting. All of these Caspa forks. Actually, is Gram a Caspa fork? It's not, right? It's been around for a while, I think. But these two are Caspa forks, or Pyron Hash. Pyron Hash is technically a Caspa fork, right? Interesting. So those three on the top of the charts. We have Hypera, Conflux, top of the charts. For the 3090 Ti. You know what's interesting? The 3090 Ti seems to be different than a lot of the other RTX cards. Look at, they got Nexa, Clore, Nexa, and Xano on the top of the charts here. Interesting. We have the 170HX mining Clore, most profitable on that card. AMD, some of those cards are pretty much Gram, but Clore on a few of them. Not too bad. The 90HX, again, Gram and Clore. Nice. That's pretty much it. So take that as you will. Let's just check to see if there is any new coins of the day. There is not. Vixel still the newest. About 2 days ago. I thought it's been around for longer than that. What? This can't be right. I'm looking at this for like forever. I don't remember this one. What the hell's C Music AI? What the hell's that? Is that a new one? C Music AI. Look at this. Look at this Kapow algorithm trying to live off the hype of AI. Insane. All right, let's move on to the news of the day. Here we go. We're gonna kick it off with Larry Fink. Blackrock's think on how to solve retirement problems. This is why he believes in Bitcoin, and this is why Bitcoin's been added to the biggest platform for ETFs on the planet. Let's get into it. Mr. Larry Fink over here.
It's a bit of a different, I think, letter from what you've done before. Personal. Starts with your parents,
right,
and they're saving for retirement, and includes your grandkids as well.
Yes.
The retirement crisis. Give us your diagnosis of that problem right now.
Well, it's something I've been writing about for years, but I emphasize it in this letter. And, you know, all my letters have been based on some long-term issues. And let me be really truthful about my letters. My letters are a reflection of my conversations with clients. So it is, and so over the past year, I heard more and more conversation about retirement, the retirement crisis, from many parts of the world, from middle-class developing countries to developed countries. The acute problem here in the United States is that we have still 57 million Americans who don't have any savings or any retirement plan. Social Security is a fantastic foundation for retirement, but if that's all you have when you retire, you're going to be living in poverty, below the poverty line, because it just is not, it's supplemental, but it's not meant to be the totality of what you have in a retirement. And the whole concept of we're aging, we're all living longer. And I think one of the big narratives I've had to reflect in 2023 was the miracles of medicine. When we talk about the drugs like Ozempic and all the different weight loss drugs, how that is extending life. It's conquering kidney disease and liver disease and heart disease and joint disease. And then there are new medicines now for dementia that extends life. So if you think about the miracles of technology and how it transforms our lives and extends our life, there is not a dialogue in America or most places about, can we afford that longevity? Mm-hmm. And our entire retirement system was based on statistics that were created 50 years ago. Where
Did you hear how he brought up technology, though? That's kind of like his, I guess he's kind of like tiptoeing into the whole Bitcoin thing with that statement.
By most Americans retired between 60 and 62 then, but most Americans...
Yeah, Vinny, it wasn't about the medicine. It was about the technology aspect of it. That's what he was getting into.
Passed away at 67. And today, statistically, a couple 60 years old in good health, one of them is going to live over 90. And so the other question is, should we reevaluate how we work and how long we work? Because we all need purpose in life. And in most people find purpose, obviously, maybe with their grandchildren, their children, their community. Many people find purpose in their jobs. Mm-hmm. And the thought of retiring at 60 with 30 more years or a 30-year life in front of you, we need to have a dialogue. We need to have a conversation. And, you know, I'm an optimist. Yeah. I am very optimistic about the long-term vitality of our markets. I'm bullish on capitalism. Right. The reason why I'm bullish is that when I read the newspapers every morning and listen to Bloomberg and other news organizations, it's full of scary things. We talk about the problems. Yeah. We talk about all the problems in life. But we solve problems through conversation. Right. And the one area where we have no conversation is the affordability of retirement and the whole concept of retirement. And we need to start a global and, most importantly, a national dialogue.
So in your letter...
I'm going to be honest. I really don't think he's one to sit here and talk out of his ass. I think he's actually really, truly been orange-pilled by the people in his company, because he hired some young kid that kind of turned him on to Bitcoin and then kind of changed his entire mindset when he was like fully against Bitcoin, and then he just turned pro Bitcoin. And I'm sure, yeah, it's partially to do with, you know, leaving a legacy behind, being the one guy that brought Bitcoin to the financial market, right? But at the same point, I truly, listening to him, I think he believes it. I don't think it's really just like bullshit that he's spitting. Do you know what I mean?
You have a very powerful, I think, diagnosis of the problem. Not just the United States, but globally.
Yes.
We're living longer. We need more money, therefore, to live at the same time.
That's not to say that he's not trying to obviously make as most money as he can, right? Everybody's doing that at the end of the day, right? We're all trying to make money. We wouldn't be in this if it wasn't for money. Like, let's be real. I don't care. Any of you guys say you're in it for the technology, you're full of shit. Every single one of you is. All right. Everybody's in it for money, and that's it. But realistically, I do think he genuinely knows what he's talking about most of the time when it comes to this financial market.
There's also a bit of a pan there to capitalism, and particularly capital markets, and the extraordinary things they've done, what they can do. Connect the two of those up. Could we use the capital markets to address at least some of the problem we're talking about? And let me be very specific. Social Security, you mentioned, is really in trouble. Should we be taking the Social Security Trust Fund, what's left of it, and put it into capital markets?
We need to.
You know what? Social Security has been in trouble for a long time.
Put it in a long-term investment. I mean, we have a system of pay-as-you-go. Okay, there are other countries like Australia that have a whole unique system whereby you're contributing. But right now in Congress, there are a number of senators and congressmen are talking about rehabilitating our Social Security pool and maybe contributing a big block of money into it so it has sufficiency. But to me, as I said, Social Security is just a foundation of retirement. We need to really educate our citizens about the need for savings. We see
Charles Harris, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it, buddy.
Worldwide, most people who are really thrifty, they keep most of their money in a bank account. Like in Japan, there's a high savings rate of 18%. Most of that is in a bank account. In Europe, there's a high savings rate of 15-ish%. Most of that's in a bank account. That is not going to provide you the adequacy of the compounding of what capital markets can do. But probably one of the big conversations I've had with so many political leaders is the connection of retirement and the capital markets. When you think about the vitality of the U.S. capital markets, so much it's based on the long-term money of pension funds of our, whether it's a defined benefit plan or a defined contribution plan. And Americans are more optimistic, and so we have a higher investment in equities beyond any other society. And so in my conversation with many political leaders, as they think about retirement, and Japan is a great example, the Kishida government just this past October raised the amount of tax deductibility to put in your 401k. They doubled the size. And it's not a coincidence that the Japanese equity market since October is up 30%. And it's because we're seeing more and more money that is going into the long-term capital markets. So not only does it give financial returns for those who are retiring and saving for retirement, but it's a big foundation for domestic companies to have local investing in their own companies. If you look at the United States, our equity markets generally trade at a 2 to 3 PE ratio higher than any place in the world. Mm-hmm. Now, you could argue we have better companies than any other place in the world, but you could also have to attribute this to that we have a larger retirement system in terms of what we invest in. Now, that doesn't mean we need more. We need more money for more people to be putting it into their system.
Take it a step further, because something you're very involved in at Blackrock is alternative investments.
Yes.
The private markets,
yes.
Credit, debt, things like that. Should we be changing the rules so we can put our 401ks or our IRAs into private markets?
I believe there are some great areas of private markets that are going to be great investments for retirement, and I would channel that.
He wants to say Bitcoin, but he didn't.
More towards infrastructure, because infrastructure has a long maturity, it has a higher coupon, but it has a lower profile of returns than what I would say other areas of the private markets. So it has a good corridor of returns, but higher probabilities of meeting those returns. And so, yes, we need to be re-looking at how we think about investing, whether that is going to be in private equity or infrastructure. I do believe, we need to be putting more long-dated assets into retirement, and so that you could meet the returns that you need to have the pool of money that you require during retirement.
Something else you mentioned was our language.
Has he got a rollie on? What kind of watch is that? Does anybody know?
Was our longevity, which has increased substantially. We all benefit from that.
That's
a good thing.
It's a blessing.
I'm not complaining. At the same time, should we be encouraging, as you suggest in your letter, people working longer? Should we making it possible, facilitating that? Should we, frankly, increase the age for Social Security?
that is not for me to make a decision, but I think we need to have a conversation. Look, you and I are the same age. Okay, we are working longer. We find purpose in what we do. The founder of Bloomberg, Mike, is still working. I believe for those who can and they find purpose in work, my gosh, work as long as you can. If you find blessings, if you find purpose in other things, do that. But I do believe we need to discuss these opportunities. I don't think the average citizen knows that, the extent of how much longer we're going to be able to live. So the beauty and the miracles of medicine has allowed us to live, 10, 15, 20 years longer than 2 generations ago. And so, but we haven't changed our system of retirement or our system of Social Security. So the most important thing we need to do, David, is have a conversation. And through that conversation, I think most people are going to elect to do things, maybe working longer, or electing to be more involved in how they put their money to work for retirement.
As I say in your letter, you talk a lot about the success of the capital markets, all that they've accomplished. At the same time, you do mention the problem with particularly U.S. debt. You think it's more urgent than any time, I think you said, you can remember in your lifetime. Put those two things together. To what extent has the success of the capital markets come specifically because we've taken more debt on the public balance sheet? We've shifted debt from private balance sheets to public balance sheets.
No question. Let's just use a statistic, and I think that when I talk about this statistic, I get frightened. In the year 2000, the U.S. deficit was $8 trillion. Today, it's $34 trillion. So 23 years later, we increased our deficit by $26 trillion. So for the first 230-odd, 40 years, we increased our deficit to $8 trillion, and in the last 23 years, we increased it by $26 trillion. Bruh. I think that speaks volumes of what's happening in our country today. The problem with these type of deficits is, and now and I believe higher interest rates for longer, the cost of financing our deficits are going to erode more and more of our disposable income as a country. And I do believe we're getting to a point where our public debt is going to start crowding out private capital, and we're going to have structurally higher interest rates. What
can the private sector do to trigger some action in that regard? I mean, you're the head of the largest asset manager in the world, Larry Fink. It's not just you, but you have some influence. At this point, we have candidates running for president who aren't even talking about this subject.
It's not even a conversation. So in my letter, I talk about the need for more public-private investments. Well, the United States is one of the last countries where we've had private capital investing in our infrastructure. And I believe if we changed our policies, privatized our airports, and privatized maybe our ports, and having private capital investing that, then our public spending could be rededicated to more urgent social needs, more urgent needs, elevating our education, elevating our issues around Social Security and healthcare. And so I believe the need is to rethink what is the role and responsibility of the public sector for the development of better 21st century infrastructure. We know that we are going to have to digitize our entire economy. We know we're going to have to move forward on decarbonization. These require huge pools of money. Allow the private sector to be part of that. We have this enormous functional capital markets that can provide the capital. We as a country must use it more often and access the role of private sector. And so I think we still, that does not change the course of our deficits, but we can certainly reallocate some of our monies into more urgent issues. And I would say, and my letter speaks about it, we need to grow our economy so our deficits are a smaller component of our GDP. That is the bigger issue. If we continue to just grow at 2% and we have these type of deficits, that's when the deficits really are going to be a problem out 5 and 10 years.
But you suggest 3%. Is that realistic?
That has to be our target. We need to find ways of growing at 3% instead of just cutting taxes, or we need to find ways of incenting private capital to be investing more. We need to encourage growth. And we need to be, and this is a debate now, and there's a lot of people talking against this, we need to embrace our capitalism, because our capitalism has shown to be the best economic force in the world.
And finally, Larry, let's go back to the personal here for a moment.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you and I happen to be exactly the same age.
Right.
We're boomers.
Yes.
We have some responsibility to the succeeding generations that I'm not sure we're delivering on. How much of your letter was really saying to us boomers, we owe it to our children and our grandchildren to get our arms around these problems?
When we were born at a great economic moment. We all have a responsibility to try to recreate that environment for our grandchildren and hopefully make a better outcome for our children. But now, at our age, we've got to be focused on the future for our grandchildren.
Shout out to Larry Fink for going on Bloomberg and telling us why he loves Bitcoin, like indirectly. Anyways, all right, let's move on. Bitcoin maintained 70K, and Kucoin charged with anti-money laundering violations. That's what it was. Let's see what CNBC World, Crypto World over here rather, has to say about that. Let's do it.
Today, the DOJ charges crypto exchange Kucoin with violating anti-money laundering rules. The SEC proposes a $2 billion fine for XRP issuer Ripple, and Paul Brody of EY breaks down what to expect from the Ethereum network in 2024.
It was actually the DOJ, not the SEC. My bad. I need to fix the title.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Talia Kaplan. Bitcoin keeping its momentum, holding above the $70,000 market reclaimed yesterday. By noon Eastern, the cryptocurrency inched higher by 2/3%. Meanwhile, Ether's also in the green, hovering just below $3,600. Chainlink's a bright spot today, climbing 3.8%. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. The SEC is seeking a nearly $2 billion fine against Ripple. Last year, a federal judge found the issuer of XRP violated securities law by selling the token directly to institutions. Now the court has to issue a final judgment and decide how much Ripple has to pay for breaking the law. While the SEC says the judge should hand down a $1.95 billion penalty against the company. Ripple's chief legal officer posted on X that it would file a response to the proposed judgment next month. We should also note that while Ripple was found to have violated the law when it came to selling XRP to institutions, the judge said the crypto company didn't break the law when it sold to retail investors. Next, U.S. officials just charged Kucoin and 2 of its executives with allegedly violating anti-money laundering rules. Prosecutors for the Southern District of New York allege that the exchange and 2 of its founders, Chun Gan and Ka Tang, operated an unlicensed money transmitting business and violated the Bank Secrecy Act by failing to maintain a proper anti-money laundering program. At the same time, the CFTC charged the exchange with failing to register with the agency, failing to implement an effective customer identification program, and more. Now, we reached out to Kucoin, and the company told us it was currently investigating the details of the charges. The company added that it respects the laws and regulations of various countries and strictly adheres to compliance standards. At the end of last year, the company also agreed to shut down in the state of New York and pay a $22 million fine after failing to register in the state.
That's crazy. They already paid a $22 million fine and they're still getting whacked by the DOJ. That's nuts. That's nuts.
All right,
and you know what? The fact that they actually answered them when they reached out to them and said that they're still looking into the charges because they don't really understand it, like where it's coming from. That says a lot. It's not like, oh, they declined the answer, so we'll try to get back to them, shortly or whatever.
Jump to our main story. Paul Brody, the global blockchain leader for EY, is a big believer in the potential of the Ethereum network. I sat down with him last week to discuss the recent resurgence of crypto adoption and what to expect from Ethereum in the near future. There have been several developments.
I would say this guy's an Ethereum maxi, 100%, but he makes some good points, actually. I did listen to this part yesterday afternoon, so let's listen to it.
In crypto since the beginning of this year, most notably spot Bitcoin ETF started trading here in the US. We also saw Bitcoin reach new all-time highs. So with all these developments, how do you think that's impacting crypto sentiment and adoption?
So in general, I think these developments are driving adoption and they're driving kind of the sentiment in the market. And it's not just in the US. The US is by far the biggest market, but we're seeing this in Europe and Asia. There's a global, I'll call it regulatory convergence going on, where crypto is coming from outside the regulated mainstream into the regulated environment. And that's driving adoption because most of the world's capital it's in regulated markets, and it's behind sort of regulatory controls like pension funds and large investment funds. And unless it's something like a regulated structured product or it's listed on an exchange, they really can't buy it. They'd be violating their kind of responsibility to their clients.
So obviously you're big on Ethereum. You wrote a book on Ethereum for Business after all. So I'm curious to get your take on some current events applying to Ethereum. Recently, the network went through its latest upgrade, Dencun, which is meant to help with scalability. So how has that upgrade influenced adoption and sentiment to Ethereum and Ether specifically?
So Ethereum's been doing this for quite a while now. And Dencun in particular isn't a major upgrade, although it's got some important features. There's two things worth taking away from Dencun. The first is that like all these other previous Ethereum upgrades, they did this flawlessly, no drama, no downtime. It's kind of really amazing when you think about it, right? They moved several $100 billion of financial infrastructure from one version to the next without a hiccup. So that's the first thing, which is just the maturity of the organization, the people, the engineers behind it. The second thing, though, is that first the merge that happened, about, I think it was 12 months ago, and now Dencun, they are both milestones in terms of driving down the cost of transactions. And Dencun in particular built on the merge, and now we're seeing some of the transaction costs on Ethereum, they are falling well below a penny. Some of them were allowed down to 5 cents previously, but now we're below a penny. And this may not seem like a big deal, but particularly for industrial customers, you're talking about, I've got clients, for example, they want to do 1 million or more transactions a day for a single product line to manage their supply chains. So when you start to talk about those volumes, really, really low transaction costs are extremely important.
Another development we're following, obviously a lot of asset managers have applications pending before the SEC for spot Ether ETFs. Some of those asset managers include Blackrock, Van Eck, and Grayscale. And last time you were on the show on Crypto World back in September, you were optimistic, it seemed, that these applications will in fact get approved. And you noted that if they do in fact get approved, there will be a tidal wave of institutional money that flows into the space. So are you still feeling optimistic that these Ether ETFs will get approved, and what will change if they do get approved?
So I'm very optimistic. The experience with the Bitcoin ETFs has been very positive. There's the same kind of thing pending with the Ethereum ones that are going to be just as positive. What is going to happen eventually, and I'm a little surprised it hasn't happened yet, is that people don't treat Bitcoin and Ethereum differently. They both see them as cryptocurrencies. But really, Bitcoin has become the kind of digital gold. It is a crypto asset, whereas Ethereum is really shaping up as a crypto computing platform. And so if you want to hold an asset just for appreciation, people are going to buy Bitcoin. If you want to invest in a computing platform for financial services and business operations, then Ethereum and ETH in particular is going to be your choice.
Now, we recently learned that the SEC is reportedly investigating the Ethereum Foundation. Forbes is reporting that the SEC is seeking to classify ETH as a security. So what's your reaction to that, and what will happen if ETH is in fact deemed a security?
So two things. I mean, first of all, there's been all these reports, but there haven't been a lot of facts. And I could be wrong because I haven't seen the latest data, but I don't think the SEC themselves have actually said anything on this topic officially. I feel like in the Bitcoin discussion, first of all, they delayed the Bitcoin conversation a couple of times. They allowed the maximum timeline. And secondly, there were always rumors flying around. I think it would be premature to worry too much about that. But obviously, even if Ethereum is categorized as a security, it doesn't change the fact that it is an extremely valuable platform. And we've already worked with a lot of clients to be able to use the Ethereum blockchain without ever holding ETH. You can just transact entirely in US dollars. So I don't think it will be an obstacle to the adoption of Ethereum as a computing platform. And
You can do that, it just costs you an arm and a leg.
It certainly won't be an issue in Europe or Asia, where a lot of other countries have regulatory frameworks that support securities and allow them.
See, the biggest thing about Ethereum is the fact that the fees are just absolutely outrageous. Like, yeah, the Dinkin upgrade, you know, fixed layer 2 transaction fees, supposedly. I don't know if they actually did, but the layer 1 fees make you want to throw up in your mouth every single time.
We also recently learned that Blackrock, the world's largest asset manager, got into the asset tokenization race, creating a fund on the Ethereum network. And Blackrock is creating the fund with Securitize, which is a big name in real-world asset tokenization. So what does that signal to you?
It signals, I think, something that we've expected for a long time, which is that as money comes into this crypto and blockchain ecosystem, if you want a crypto asset, you will buy Bitcoin. But if you want a tokenized digital asset, you will buy those on the Ethereum platform. And what we're seeing now is Ethereum has just become the default choice for any kind of digital token, any kind of tokenized asset. Even if it's not a cryptocurrency, if it's a real world asset, gold, oil, you name it, it's going to be on the Ethereum ecosystem.
Now, last time you were on the show, you also mentioned
that's a good point. Anything that they try to put on that, anything they try to tokenize is going to be on the Ethereum ecosystem. I would assume, anyways, right? You don't think so, Danar? Let me know why. Let me know why. I don't see why they wouldn't choose that. It's been the longest running, second highest cryptocurrency by market cap. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't do that, but who knows?
There is going to be one blockchain ecosystem that rules them all, and you believe that is Ethereum. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's the fee, right? So there's this double-edged sword to the fees, right? The fees suck ass, right, for normal people to trade. But that forces normal people like us to hold it longer. That's the way I'd be looking at it if I was Blackrock. It's kind of going to sway people away from trading it 24/7.
So Ethereum is dominant in the same way that things like Microsoft Windows are. It's not that, and I always hate getting into the discussion of which platform is better, because there are always better platforms. Technology keeps moving along. However, what happens is we tend to pick a platform that's widely adopted and it gets a lot of momentum. And we see that in computing platforms all the time, right? Windows is the world's desktop operating system. IBM has the dominant share, is the 100% share of the mainframe business. Ethereum is, if you think of Ethereum as a computing platform, this idea that we would have a single dominant platform makes a lot of sense. And if you look at the ecosystem right now, for example, there's quite a few challengers to Ethereum, but Ethereum itself now contains more than 40 layer 2 networks. So the real competitive action, the real innovation is now happening inside the Ethereum ecosystem, not in competition with it. So that the momentum has really changed in terms of where the market focus is. And I think that is actually really good for the development of applications, because people are no longer saying, which network should I be on? They're going to be on Ethereum, and then the question is, what application should I deploy? What layer 2 network should I use?
Now, Brody
I mean, he made a lot of good points.
also explains some of Ethereum's enterprise use cases outlined in his book, Ethereum for Business. Plus, he addresses how blockchain technology could help address election security concerns. You can check.
Interesting. If you guys want to see that full interview, go over there and check it out. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the fees, right? Because, like, you know, little Timmy that decides to get into, you know, Ethereum, and, you know, he just buys into it and then goes to swap it out and goes, wait a minute, they're going to take this much for a fee? F that. Most of you guys are going to hold it. That's the truth, right? It's going to sway you away from trading it 24/7. So it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a smart move for them. Maybe it's not. Who knows? All right, let's move on to the videos of the day. My man Crypto Zombie dropped on yesterday. Let's see what he's got to say over here. I haven't had a chance to watch this. I'm super excited to see the beginning because it's usually hysterical. Bitcoin alert, Blackrock secret meeting. You won't believe what's about to happen. Let's get into it, guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you for doing it. Appreciate you for hanging out. I hate asking, but YouTube makes me. Let's do it.
Fuck your fucking options. Fuck your fucking zero DTE calls. Fuck the economy. Fuck inflation. Fuck your soft landing. I am sick of this shit. Fuck Wall Street. Fuck you all. I'm.
Oh my God, he started this one off on fire. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Fucking up.
Oh my God. Oh, that was great.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day today. Now, I know it's been a minute since an update, but I wanted to talk about a lot of things that are going on right now. Obviously, specifically for Bitcoin, because we did have Bitcoin getting back above $70,000 again. As you can see over here, it's kind of sitting around that line. And, you know, to be honest, we did have a very nice test on this trend. But, you know,
I'm going to have to go grab the beginning of that and make it a short. That was great. That was the funniest shit ever. Oh my god, shout out to Crypto Zombie again. If you guys aren't subbed to him, go check him out. I've been watching him for years. He's awesome.
You know, if we don't get above this area, it could signal maybe possibly more volatility. There may even be another chance potentially to scoop up the dip, but ultimately, like I said, I believe that these dips are for buying, and I do think we're going to see much higher price action. Let's not forget, if we come over here, we literally have the Bitcoin halving coming in less than 28 days, right? So this is happening very, very soon. Now, could it be a sell the news event? Possibly. I mean, in and of itself, the halving usually doesn't have a massive immediate impact, but over time, as that distribution does slow down because it is getting cut in half, if you do maintain that same demand, then yes, eventually you do tend to see a very, very massive pump. And remember, generally speaking, when Bitcoin does breach its all-time highs, 3 out of the last 4 times, it only took 3 weeks for price to double. Now, I know that seems crazy to think we could go to $140,000 in, I guess it would be 2 weeks from now, right? That sounds crazy, but really when you break down the math on what's going on, the fact also, not to mention that Blackrock had a secret behind the scenes backdoor meeting with their top clients. Yeah, you're going to be interested what they told them because this is quite shocking. But as far as Bitcoin is concerned, we really could see a massive, massive shocking move for Bitcoin. And it actually can get a lot crazier than most people are anticipating. On top of the fact that, guess what? We're also seeing altcoin mania. I think you guys have seen the meme coins going absolutely crazy. Now, generally, I would say that that's a bit of a top signal, right? Like once everyone just starts throwing their money at memes. But it might actually be different this time, and I'll explain to you why in just a bit. So
It's actually a good point. People just start throwing their money at memes because they don't really know what the hell's going on in the market. You're just like, oh shit, this one's going up, and we definitely saw that with Shiba. I ain't gonna lie.
Talk about all that today. If that sounds good to you, definitely stick around.
Shiba, WIF, Pepe, all those coins. All those coins are in the top 100 right now, basically. I mean, Dogecoin, I would say, is a bit different because money always comes into Doge every single bull run. And also we have the, Elon Musk catalyst there. But other than that, Floki's another one, right? I don't know. We'll see.
To the end of this video, guys, I have a lot of things to cover. And, again, Arthur Hayes, $1 million Bitcoin. Is it possible? Well, check this out. We're going to get into some stuff, but I did just want to mention, guys, this was the big news. Now, I normally don't talk about stuff like this in the beginning.
Gonna pause this real quick. Dan R said, makes you wonder how much Ethereum dust $1 to $10 are on wallets to, since you can't do anything with because of the fees. And that's a good freaking point. That is a good point. There's probably a lot. But at the same time, does it really affect things? Probably not, because, at the end of the day, Ethereum can just continue to print like the government. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, not to say it's not going to go up, but I don't know if I want to talk about this. What is this? Is he shilling something?
Beginning of the video, but I was mentioning that there is a game that is coming out, and it's called Off the Grid. So you can see Off the Grid creator Gunzilla has raised $30 million ahead of their PlayStation, Xbox, and PC launch. Now, why is this huge? I'm going to get into the Bitcoin stuff, don't worry. But we know that a lot of people, specifically gamers, right? They're saying GameFi, it's going to bring in all these new people to crypto. But the problem is that a lot of the games right now, you kind of have to have a bit of crypto knowledge to get into it. Whereas this game, which is going to be released at some point this year, is actually you don't have to have any knowledge at all when it comes to cryptocurrencies. You can literally just play the game as is. You can see that it's a 150 player battle royale being released on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox, and it's going to feature blockchain-based ownership of unique game assets via Avalanche NFTs. It's also operating on its own subnet. So again, this game is coming out. You can see right here, this is Gunzilla. This is their website, and this is the trailer for the game. So if you guys want to see the trailer for this, I'll play it at the end of the video. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I'm very excited for this because this is really what we've been waiting for as far as the GameFi sector is concerned. So
I'll be honest, he's not wrong. He's really not wrong. I don't know if he was paid to say that, to be honest. Maybe he is. I don't know. He is honestly, Crypto Zombie usually doesn't do that. So I don't know.
I would definitely keep an eye on Off the Grid, Gunzilla Games. They're going to have their own token, so just like I said, guys, definitely this is what I was talking about in the last video. I think this is going to be really, really massive. So let's get into the Bitcoin content, though. As you can see, as CryptoCon has pointed out, we tend to get into these high volatility areas, and usually you're looking for this double peak. Now, we've gone over a bunch of different indicators why I believe the Bitcoin really price action is basically just beginning. We've gone over why. I could show you with the money flow, but ultimately you get these double tops, and when you do get the second top, that's usually when it's time to sell, right? And you can see we actually have not even entered into this area just yet. Now, you could say that this was a bit of an outlier right here, but again, when it comes to this cycle, there was a lot of crazy things going on. We had the FTX debacle. We had a lot of manipulation in the background. There were terrible bad actors suppressing the Bitcoin price. We've gone over all this, right? That's all gone. We don't have that situation anymore. And, Peter Thiel, he's over here from Marathon Digital, and he's basically explaining that when it comes to these ETFs, everybody's like, first of all, they've actually performed a lot better than most people thought they were going to. But the crazy part is that not even all of the capital has even come. In fact, some of it won't even be here for possibly even another year to 2 years.
Well, I think most of this has been the pent-up demand for the ETF. You had some rotation out of miners into the ETF. A lot of these ETFs haven't even really started marketing their products to wealth advisors. You have very few wealth advisors that actually are recommending it to their clients yet. So we've yet to see the real kind of flow from alternative assets and retirement accounts, pension accounts into Bitcoin. That will come most probably later this year, early next year. But I think right now what you've seen is a rotation. At the same time, you're seeing people looking at the economy, what's going on, uncertainty in the world, and just some jitters. The other thing that the ETFs now hold a very large amount of Bitcoin, and so there's not a lot of liquidity in the market. So any move one way or another is causing a lot of volatility, which over time will just normalize because as the market cap of these ETFs and the Bitcoin overall continues to grow, volatility will decrease and it'll operate more like a traditional asset. But we have a while to go before we get there.
And as you guys could see right here, like Seth pointed out, really, a lot of this money has been coming from the GBTC outflows, which is the blue down here. So that's what's been keeping us down. So a lot of this money has just been basically going from the GBTC ETF and flipping into the other ETFs, right? Yes, we have had fresh capital, but you could argue that a lot of it was just being rotated out of GBTC. We are actually seeing positive inflows. And by the way, I don't know if you guys can hear this. They're cutting down trees in the backyard. So if you hear anything in the background, there's nothing I can do about it. They're just working out there. But so the point I'm trying to make right here is that we are still seeing these positive inflows, and we haven't really started to see that massive amount yet, right? Remember, a lot of these guys that are going to be advising these to their clients, they want a little bit of a track record. And I know it sounds crazy. You would think like, oh, you just want to buy low, right? Well, yeah, of course. But again, these people are looking for long-term allocation. Of course, there's traders and speculators, but they're not trying to just get into something. Like, they're not staring at charts like we are all day, basically, right? They're buying it and they're setting it and they're forgetting it. But in order for them to offer this to their clients, they want there to be that track record. The ETFs launched, so many months ago. This is how the price has performed. And then actually the fact that the price has performed well, I know you would think don't buy high, but no, that actually sends the message like, hey, this is a great place to park some of our funds, right? But I know what you're saying. What about the Fed, the FOMC, right? Now they're not going to do as many cuts and people are worried about that. Well, Anthony Pompliano kind of broke that down pretty straightforward.
We don't know what the future holds. We have violated things that we're serving as these kind of guardrails or these guidance paths. And so we are in uncharted territory in that sense. At the same time, usually what we have seen is that Bitcoin has been this great index for what many people thought were interest rate environments. They'd said, oh, when interest rates are low, Bitcoin went up in price. When interest rates got raised, Bitcoin crashed. But now we sit here and Bitcoin is near all-time highs and interest rates are still 5.5% or higher in the United States. And so is this time different? Well, Bitcoin has violated the narrative saying that Bitcoin was only a zero interest rate phenomenon. Bitcoin continues to be resilient regardless of the interest rate environment. And so then you can say, well, what exactly is Bitcoin? From all of the data that I've looked at, it appears that Bitcoin is actually an index for global liquidity. Now, what does that mean? In the United States, in Europe, and Japan, over the last 2 years or so, we have seen them trying to drain liquidity from the system. They've been selling assets off their balance sheet, they've been raising interest rates, and they're trying to create these tighter financial conditions. But China and a couple other central banks around the world, they continue to pump liquidity into the market. And so global liquidity has actually been increasing, even though the major central banks in the United States, Europe, and Japan have been trying to drain liquidity. And so these countries are actually competing with each other in terms of how much liquidity is going in or out of the system. But global liquidity has continued to increase over the last 12 months or so. And so what has happened? Bitcoin's price has continued to increase. And so naturally, as we are watching global liquidity increasing and interest rates remaining high, it then begs the question, well, what happens if global liquidity continues to increase and interest rates get cut? Now, that may seem like something that isn't going to happen. Jerome Powell and others are saying, no, we need to stay the course. We need to keep
Is he wearing a Rolex? Jerome Powell? Son of a bitch.
interest rates higher. At the start of 2024,
Looked like
it was
it.
estimated that there would be 7 or 8 different interest rate cuts. Probably 7 was what the market was saying. Now, the market is saying only 3. And even that level of confidence around 3 cuts is waning. And so if they are going to keep interest rates high, then Bitcoin will simply trade off of that global liquidity.
And at the end of the day, it is inevitable. The liquidity will flow. They will pump money back into the system. But before we talk about that, I just had to talk about this Joe Weisenthal tweet. This is a little bit of a rant here. Look at this. Look at how salty of a Twitter post this is. Imagine 2 people. Person A put all of their money in the S&P 500 10 years ago. Person B put all of their money in Bitcoin 10 years ago.
Oh, God.
Person A's portfolio is at an all... Someone's at the door. I gotta go get the door, guys. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. This is what I mean. It's just absolutely crazy around here lately. This is why it's been so hard to put a video out. But just imagine the saltiness of this person. And like, person A's portfolio is at an all-time high today. Person B's portfolio is 13% off its high. Like, really? I mean, he's not wrong, right? But look at the way that you have to word these things to make it look like it was a bad decision to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, okay. So how much did you make percentage-wise 10 years ago in the S&P versus how many did you make percentage-wise in Bitcoin, right? And I'm pretty sure he's being serious. But anyway, I had to get that out of the way. But you know, like Jack Mallers points out, it doesn't really matter what the Fed is saying at the FOMC, because at the end of the day, this system is designed for money printing. In fact, if we don't print money, the system literally collapses, but he explains it a lot better.
Let's dumb it down. The problem with central planning money, which is such a core technology to society working. Think about it, Ed. You go to work every single day and you pour your blood, sweat, and tears, all of the time you spend on this planet in exchange for what? Money. So right. The central planning of money convolutes and complicates so much of the inner workings of society. Let's go back to basics. Our government is in debt, right? Yes or no? The US government, that is. What all governments, right? Our government's in debt. Okay, traditionally, Ed, if I owed you 20 bucks, I'd have 2 options. I'd one have to default on that and say, you know what, Ed, I hope you still consider me a good friend, but I'm not going to make whole on that $20. The other is I could pay it back. Those are classically the 2 options that anyone in debt has, right? Now, the government, because they centrally plan and control our currency, unfortunately has a third, and that's that they can print more money, devalue the debt that they have and that they owe, and allocate more capital to themselves. So our government can't default. The US, the United States of America, cannot default on debt. It would collapse the entire planet. We also cannot afford to pay it back. So if you just, like, listen, I didn't even go to college, brother. This is just 101 basics, how the world works. If we can't default and we can't pay it back, what's the only option that they have to do? No matter what they sit and tell you at the Fed chair meetings and all of the economists, they have to issue more dollars. And so if there's going to be more pieces of green paper, you want them competing for the most fixed thing. right? There's
Very true. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate
more
it.
dollars that are competing for a fixed amount of Bitcoin.
And Jack,
yes, real estate's going to go up too because there's more dollars competing for real estate, but they can make more real estate. They can find more gold. They can't make any more Bitcoins. And that's just, I mean, even a college dropout can understand that, my friend.
Oh,
Touché.
and how about this?
Touché.
Look who's buying Bitcoin. So I don't really follow a lot of gold, but these guys over here, they are a South American gold miner, Neelam Resources, okay, a gold miner, files a letter of intent to acquire 24,800 Bitcoin.
What?
So why are gold miners who mine gold now looking into Bitcoin? You've seen the record outflows from the gold ETFs. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these gold miners flip over, start mining Bitcoin, purchasing Bitcoin, right? It's all happening. These are all the things we've talked about for all these years that everyone always laughs at all the crazy, right? Like a nation will...
Real quick, that last kid that's sitting in like an empty closet, this kid right here, you can see it on the time thing. Crypto KJ said, you're not buying any more Bitcoin unless your room is clean, because he looks like a little kid and his room's empty.
Never adopt Bitcoin. And then we have El Salvador, you know, and no one will ever put it on their balance sheet, and there'll never be an ETF. You know, remember that guy? Bitcoin will never trade above 70,000. Yeah, well, it just did, and it's also doing it today. So, you know, don't listen to these people that are saying that these things can never happen. And something that, you know, may sound crazy, it may sound like crazy moon math that Arthur Hayes had pointed out, and we talked about this in the previous video, but he's saying that he thinks Bitcoin can hit $1 million this cycle. Seriously, this cycle. Think about that. And he's not even calling for a super cycle. He expects there to be a correction, massive correction at some point. But realistically, could it happen?
We'll see our cycles, right? But how big can this one be? I think we get to $1 million Bitcoin, at least like on a tick, right? I think we can get there. I think if we really see a concerted global effort by all the major economic blocs to financially repress people into buying their bonds, and we have this little door of crypto open, and the bond market is what, I don't know, however many tens or hundreds of trillions of dollars, right? We don't need all that money to come into crypto. We can see it a little bit. And remember, it's a marginal price. It's not about the whole market cap. The last price is maybe only a Satoshi trades at $1 million Bitcoin. But that'll be the last price, right? That's how it works in markets. It's all about at the margin. So at the margin, if we have global fixed income investors who hold bonds, who are like, I'm getting a bad deal, at least I'm going to allocate some of this money into crypto, then I don't think we have a big enough imagination about how high we could go, because the global bond market is just so massive. And when the bond investors make a decision collectively that they don't like being in a particular market, they will stampede into something else, and it will cause reverberations around the global economy. And thankfully, we have this thing called crypto. We have a little small door, and some people can be saved. Most people will not. But those of us who hold these assets, I think, are in for some massive gains in fiat terms. And that comes with a whole host of issues in and of itself. Is that the right way to value your portfolio or not? It's more of a philosophical question. But I do believe that if we really hit this sovereign debt bubble, if that is deflating this cycle, then we have it's going to be so ridiculous how high this stuff goes.
Okay, so
I was muted, sorry. Backtran in the chat said, if BTC reached 1 million, then one Satoshi would be 1 cent. That's very interesting, actually.
$1 million Bitcoin, right? Probably not going to happen. Sounds ludicrous, sounds outrageous, but it's plausible. But here's the thing. Blackrock held a closed-door meeting for their top clients last month where they said a 28% allocation to Bitcoin was optimal. So like Luke Mikic points out, what would happen if the entire world rebalanced their portfolio to match what a BlackRock math quant suggests? Well, you have $900 trillion, 28% of that, 252 trillion market cap. Now do the multiplier effect, right? Times 4, and basically you get a $48 million Bitcoin. So it's not actually that crazy, you know? I mean, the thing is, all right, for example, like if Bitcoin goes to $200,000, right? Which it's possible this cycle, it only has to do a 5x from there to get to $1 million. You see what I'm saying? And with these large capital inflows, you have to assume that if they put, you know, even just 1% in, that's a lot. I mean, they're talking 28%. If you just put 1% in, we're talking a lot, right? And again, a lot of them have not even allocated yet. Still, Believe it or not, even with all these massive inflows, they still have not fully allocated, and a lot of these guys are still waiting. They're still waiting for more confirmation. They want more track record of the asset's performance, and they're going to be buying the Bitcoin when it's at 100,000, when it's at 150,000, and then they're going to come in with new capital, right? Now, yes, of course, there's always going to be speculators, and some people are going to want to sell and take profits, but that's just the name of the game, right? And these corrections that we've been getting, these 20% corrections, this is nothing. This is nothing, guys. We used to get like 40% corrections every other weekend. So,
and I think that's what a lot of people forget, that these corrections, like we used to get crazy spikes, and people like cry over, us getting it wasn't even 10% pullback. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it.
Trust me, this market is actually not as volatile as you would have expected it to be. But that's also the other thing, is that you assume that as the asset class begins to mature, maybe we won't see those big drawdowns. Of course, I'm not talking about bear markets, but maybe on the intraday, maybe we don't get those big drawdowns. I mean, it's likely that at some point we get one, around the halving. We usually do, but let's be honest, there's been a lot of things this time that never happened before. We never went below the previous all-time high, but we did that, never fell below the 200 weekly. But then on the flip side, we also never had a new all-time high before the halving. So you can literally say this time is different. I know it's a meme to say that, but it is actually different. Like statistically, there's so many things that we've never seen before. Now, getting back to Blackrock, this is where there are more opportunities for altcoins in the cycle. And what could explode now, BlackRock is looking into real world tokenization on the Ethereum network. So RWAs, real world assets, right? So this is another niche to pay attention to. We've spoke about several of them on the channel. I know DPIN, also some people have been speaking about that. Still looking at, obviously, the AI, the gaming, the BRC20s. I still think, people think the BRC20 thing is over. I don't think it's over. I think the narrative is going to come back very strong. But, for example, if you guys look over here at this, at Soil, they're doing fully regulated DeFi protocol, ensuring secure returns on stablecoins backed by real world assets. And if you have a look at just the quick chart right here, look at how this is just taken off, right? And we were looking at this down at around, this area right here, this 40-cent area. And personally, not trying to shill this, but at a 16 million market cap, this is up 57% in a day. I know it seems like a lot, but I mean, these are the types of coins that could potentially hit, billion-dollar market cap. So, again,
he's not wrong. Have you guys heard of this, Soil?
And I would just check this out, not financial advice. You don't have to, if you don't want to buy altcoins, don't buy them. But I had a really big,
all right, we're going to skip this Bitcoin analysis, I think. We're going to jump into Altcoin Daily's video. Shout out to Mr. Crypto Zombie, and I apologize, my kids are raiding my stream. I'm gonna have to run around for a second, run upstairs and check on my daughter. All right, let's get into this Altcoin Daily. Larry Fink, prepare now for crypto's next insane move. Let's get into this. Shout out to Altcoin Daily. Links in the description. If you guys aren't subbed, go check them out. Hit the like button. Let's do it.
When I talk about this statistic, I get frightened.
Larry Fink says that this statistic frightens him, and this is why he believes in Bitcoin.
In the year 2000, the U.S. deficit was $8 trillion. Today, it's $34 trillion. So 23 years later, we increased our deficit by $26 trillion. So for the first 230-odd, 40 years, we increased our deficit to 8 trillion, and in the last 23 years, we increased it by $26 trillion. I think that speaks volumes of what's happening in our country today.
That's insane.
BlackRock has now put themselves on record saying Bitcoin overwhelmingly is our #1 priority for our investors. Interesting quote. BlackRock says, "What we're seeing is that investors in general, are resoundingly choosing BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF IBIT for their Bitcoin access. That's a combination of investors who are totally new to Bitcoin, plus those who have held exposure to Bitcoin in different forms historically. For our clients, Bitcoin is overwhelmingly the #1 priority. And then a little bit Ethereum."
Now, last time you were on the show, you also mentioned that there is going to be one blockchain ecosystem that rules them all, and you believe that is Ethereum. Why do you think that is?
It's really interesting when you kind of peel back the curtain and see what's happening to Bitcoin and Ethereum on exchanges. The downtrend in Ethereum and Bitcoin reserves on exchanges persists, with a minor uptick for Ethereum. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's supply decline steepens, likely driven by increased ETF acquisition. But what's interesting is that there's less Ethereum than Bitcoin on exchanges. Guys, smash the like button. Let's get this information out there to as many people as possible.
But does that matter? Less Ethereum on exchanges than Bitcoin? Does it matter?
Most people don't realize BlackRock is going to own more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor soon.
Give me an example of something you can own $100 million of where you can take personal custody of it and where you can actually move it anywhere on Earth, and where even if I hold a gun to your head, I can't take it from you. And the only thing we've ever figured out that you can do that with is Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is like, it keeps everybody honest. The optionality to do this means that all you got to do is find one bank in Singapore that'll treat you better than the bank in New York or London or Tokyo. And then you can move it in a half an hour for $5. And what happens next? The bank in New York thinks, well, I guess we can't screw these guys over because they'll just move it to Singapore. And the guys in California say, well, I can't just tax all the Bitcoin in California. It'll move to Wyoming. It'll move to Singapore. It'll move to Malta. And at the end of the day, you can tell everybody to go fuck themselves.
So yeah, Bitcoin looking incredibly bullish. Just give it
Love
time.
that guy.
The conversation around Bitcoin nowadays is 100% ETF devoted. Seems like just because there's so much demand coming from that ETF wrapper, because it's so easy for these big players and institutions to buy via the ETFs. And so many have yet to get onboarded or in the process of still being able to get onboarded and buying and getting their first 1%, then 2%, then 3%. Wisdom Tree gains approval to purchase spot Bitcoin ETFs for its $206 million and $117 million funds. Certainly the biggest unknown right now is Ethereum. Like, we see what's going on behind the scenes, BlackRock launching a tokenized asset fund on Ethereum already seeded with $100 million in USDC. We have different expert analysts and institutions putting out detailed reports with Ethereum price predictions. Standard Chartered Bank is predicting Ethereum could hit $8,000 by the end of 2024 and $14,000 possibly by the end of 2025. What do you think? Like, Larry Fink has already laid out his vision for Ethereum, and it seems his vision is quickly becoming a reality.
I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. I see value in having an Ethereum ETF. As I said, these are just stepping stones towards tokenization. And I really do believe this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. If you want to think about this. If you had a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, you, Andrew, the moment you buy or sell an instrument, it's known. It's on a general ledger that is all created together. You want to talk about...
See, I think that's the scariest part of everything. If they start wanting to tokenize our socials and shit, that's terrifying.
Around money laundering and all that.
But I get
this
it.
Eliminates all
to an extent.
Corruption by having a tokenized system.
Hey, LA,
nope. Let's skip that.
Are you more bullish on Bitcoin right now or Ethereum right now? I feel like we've reached a point in the cycle where it's pretty obvious how bullish Bitcoin is. Bitcoin could be at 100K, 200K, 300K in just a matter of a year or two. It's possible. Like I said earlier, Ethereum is a big unknown. Now, to this man right here, Paul Brody of Ernst & Young. Ernst & Young is one of the big four accounting firms. These guys are bigger than MicroStrategy. Paul Brody heads up the blockchain arm of Ernst & Young. He's more bullish on Ethereum. He thinks an Ethereum ETF is on the horizon. But he's interested in Ethereum not just as an investment, but also as the ultimate super dApp platform. Before we talk about the ETF, here he explains how big a deal Ethereum's last upgrade was for using Ethereum.
I was just going to ask if it was the same guy.
There's two things we're taking away from Denken. The first is that, like all these other previous Ethereum upgrades, they did this flawlessly, no drama, no downtime. It's kind of really amazing when you think about it, right? They moved several $100 billion of financial infrastructure from one version to the next without a hiccup. So that's the first thing, which is just the maturity of the organization, the people, the engineers behind it. The second thing, though, is that first the merge that happened, about, I think it was 12 months ago, and now Denken they are both milestones in terms of driving down the cost of transactions. And Denkin in particular built on the merge, and now we're seeing some of the transaction costs on Ethereum, they are falling well below a penny. Some of them were allowed down to 5 cents previously, but now we're below a penny. And this may not seem like a big deal, but particularly for industrial customers, you're talking about, I've got clients, for example, they want to do 1 million or more transactions a day for a single product line to manage their supply chains. So when you start to talk about those volumes, really, really low transaction costs are extremely important. And what we're seeing now is Ethereum has just become the default choice for any kind of digital token, any kind of tokenized asset. Even if it's not a cryptocurrency, if it's a real world asset, gold, oil, you name it, it's going to be on the Ethereum ecosystem.
But of course, the big unknown is the Blackrock Ethereum ETF. Paul Brody thinks it's going to happen. He thinks that's going to usher in a whole new era for Ethereum. Actually, listen to what he says.
Another development we're following, obviously a lot of asset managers have applications pending before the SEC for spot Ether ETFs. Some of those asset managers include Blackrock, Van Eck, and Grayscale. And last time you were on the show on Crypto World back in September, you were optimistic, it seemed, that these applications will in fact get approved, and you noted that if they do in fact get approved, there will be a tidal wave of institutional money that flows into the space. So are you still feeling optimistic that these Ether ETFs will get approved, and what will change if they do get approved?
So I'm very optimistic. The experience with the Bitcoin ETFs has been very positive. There's the same kind of thing pending with the Ethereum ones that are going to be just as positive. What is going to happen eventually, and I'm a little surprised it hasn't happened yet, is that people don't treat Bitcoin and Ethereum differently. They both see them as cryptocurrencies. But really, Bitcoin has become the kind of digital gold. It is a crypto asset, whereas Ethereum is really shaping up as a crypto computing platform. And so if you want to hold an asset just for appreciation, people are going to buy Bitcoin. If you want to invest in a computing platform for financial services and business operations, then Ethereum and ETH in particular is going to be your choice.
But the Ethereum Foundation is under investigation by the SEC. The SEC is seemingly still trying to label Ethereum as an unregistered security. Ernst & Young's Paul Brody, the Michael Saylor of Ethereum, explains why Ethereum is still a buy.
So two things. I mean, first of all, there's been all these reports, but there haven't been a lot of facts. And I could be wrong because I haven't seen the latest data, but I don't think the SEC themselves have actually said anything on this topic officially. You know, I feel like in the Bitcoin discussion, first of all, they delayed the Bitcoin conversation a couple of times. They allowed the maximum timeline. And secondly, there were always rumors flying around. I think it would be premature to worry too much about that. But obviously, even if Ethereum is categorized as a security, it doesn't change the fact that it is an extremely valuable platform. And we've already worked with a lot of clients to be able to use the Ethereum blockchain without ever holding ETH. You can just transact entirely in US dollars. So I don't think it will be an obstacle to the adoption of Ethereum as a computing platform. And it certainly won't be an issue in Europe or Asia, where a lot of other countries have regulatory frameworks that support securities and allow them.
So yeah, I think Bitcoin is a buy right now for sure. But I also think do not sleep on Ethereum. And there's a reason I call this man the Michael Saylor of Ethereum, because he thinks the Ethereum blockchain is the blockchain that will rule them all. Subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We post one video every
I don't think he's entirely wrong.
day, keeping you informed. See you tomorrow.
Now, last time you were on the show, you also mentioned that there is going to be one blockchain ecosystem that rules them all, and you believe that is Ethereum. Why do you think that is?
So Ethereum is dominant in the same way that things like Microsoft and Windows are. It's not that, and I always hate getting into the discussion of which platform is better, because there are always better platforms. Technology keeps moving along. However, what happens is we tend to pick a platform that's widely adopted and it gets a lot of momentum. And we see that in computing platforms all the time, right? Windows is the world's desktop operating system. IBM has the dominant share, is the 100% share of the mainframe business. Ethereum is, if you think of Ethereum as a computing platform, this idea that we would have a single dominant platform makes a lot of sense. And if you look at the ecosystem right now, for example, there's quite a few challengers to Ethereum, but Ethereum itself now contains more than 40 layer 2 networks. So the real competitive action, the real innovation is now happening inside the Ethereum ecosystem, not in competition with it. So that the momentum has really changed in terms of where the market focus is. And I think that is actually really good for the development of applications, because people are no longer saying, which network should I be on? They're going to be on Ethereum, and then the question is, what application should I deploy? What layer 2 network should I use?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's completely wrong, to be honest. All right, shout out to Mr. Joker Miner for the $10 super chat. There it is. There's DJ screaming, top of his lungs. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's see. He said, Chump, get well fund. Thank you, buddy. I'm feeling a little bit better today, thankfully. We have Bitcoin. Trying to recap some stuff, and then we're going to get out of here. Bitcoin looking like $71,107. Look at that. Perfect. Ethereum at 3630. Let's see real quick. We have Alltrack. Thanks for being a member for 10 months. Damn. Good stuff, buddy. Thank you so much. We have Ovalboard Tech, member for 9 months. I don't even know where I am, he says. Black Cat Crypto, member for 19 months and 17 months for Mr. Joker Miner. Joker Miner's trying to make up for bad news info that he gives me. It's not working, bro. You lost your DM privileges. What happens? What happens? Can't take you anywhere. What happens? Anyways, things are looking pretty good, guys. I don't see anything that's jumping out at us. I mean, this whole Kucoin thing, that's, I don't know what's going on with that, but does anybody actually use Kucoin here? Anybody? Let me know in the chat. That would be great to know. Again, let's see real quick, see if things have changed over here on CoinGecko. What's trending? Moochie is trending, down 21.7%. I don't even know what that is. Deo Maker up 4.4, and we have Strike X is up 16.6%. Interesting. I don't even know what that is. Shiba's still in 12th place, looking pretty good. All right, let's see. I'm not even gonna read that, Joker. I'm not even gonna read that. You know, I own a Discord and I could see the audit log. You dumbass. Joker, thanks for the $10 super chat. He's still trying to make me prove it. He's deleting messages, acting like he didn't send me false info from 3 years ago. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. Bruh. Oh, you're the worst friend, Joker. You're the worst friend with the most money, I guess that's what we'll call you. The worst friend with the most money. There we go. All right, guys. Anyways, I gotta get the hell out of here. I appreciate you all. This is like something just fell down the stairs. I thought it was my kid for a second. Throwing shit. All right, I gotta get out of here. You guys have a good day. Mr. DJ screaming in the chat for the end. Thank you very much. Again, Joker Miner for the $10 super chat. You're still wrong. I don't have to prove you wrong, but you're still wrong. Love you, buddy. Thanks for the super chat. All right, guys, have a good day. Hopefully I'll feel 100% tomorrow. I'll be back in the morning, 8 a.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. And until then, peace out. Let's go raid Miss Randy Hipper. She should be live in 5. Peace out.
Eat shit, Gary.